It begins with a mind that refused to inherit truth without testing it. In a world where knowledge passed from teacher to student as unquestioned authority, Al-Biruni stood apart. He did not reject tradition out of rebellion, but out of responsibility. To him, accepting an idea without proof was intellectual weakness. He believed the universe operated by laws that could be observed, measured, and understood. Curiosity alone was not enough. Discipline was required. He approached learning with patience and rigor, recording what he saw rather than what he was told. While many scholars argued endlessly over philosophy, he turned toward nature itself. The world, he believed, was the ultimate textbook. This mindset quietly separated him from his age and aligned him with a future that had not yet arrived. Al-Biruni worked in an era where scientific tools barely existed. There were no telescopes to study the sky, no satellites to observe the Earth, no precise clocks to track motion. What he had instead was mathematics, geometry, and an unshakable commitment to method. He understood that instruments could enhance observation, but they could not replace reasoning. By carefully observing shadows, angles, distances, and time, he extracted information from the natural world. Each limitation forced him to think more creatively. Where others saw impossibility, he saw a problem waiting for a solution. His work demonstrates that science is not born from technology. It is born from disciplined thought applied consistently. Rather than relying only on books, Al-Biruni created his own experimental environments. His laboratory was not a single room filled with instruments. It was wherever observation could be controlled and repeated. He designed simple measuring devices, refined methods for accuracy, and carefully recorded results. Experiments were repeated to reduce error. Results were compared, not assumed. This approach was revolutionary in a time when most scholars treated texts as final authority. He treated them as starting points. Knowledge, in his view, had to survive reality. If an idea failed measurement, it failed truth. This insistence on verification marked a clear break from purely theoretical scholarship and pushed science toward experimentation centuries early. One question slowly rose above all others: what is the true size of the Earth? This was not a symbolic or philosophical question. It was a mathematical challenge. Many believed such knowledge required traveling the world or accepting inherited estimates. Al-Biruni rejected both. He believed the Earth could be measured using geometry from a single location. This realization changed everything. It reframed the planet not as an abstract concept, but as a physical object governed by measurable laws. Instead of moving across the Earth, he would let mathematics do the journey. This insight alone places him among the most original thinkers of his era. Using a mountain as his instrument, Al-Biruni achieved something extraordinary. He climbed to a high elevation and carefully measured the angle between the horizon and the Earth's surface. With trigonometry, he calculated the radius of the planet. The result was astonishingly accurate within a small margin of modern measurements. This was accomplished without advanced tools, without global travel, and without modern technology. The Earth, once explained through belief and myth, became a calculated reality. His method proved that intelligence and method could replace brute exploration. Centuries later, satellites would confirm what he had already shown from a mountaintop. Al-Biruni's curiosity did not end with size, it expanded into balance and force. He studied density, weight, and how materials behaved in different environments. He understood that Earth exerted a natural influence on objects, affecting how they moved and rested. Though he lacked modern terminology, his insights pointed toward gravitational principles. He saw the world as a system governed by order, not chaos. Nature, to him, was consistent and measurable. This understanding required abandoning superstition in favor of structure. Long before physics had formal language, he was already describing its behavior through observation. What truly set Al-Biruni apart was not only what he studied, but how he studied it. He refused to believe that knowledge belonged to one culture, language, or faith. During his time in the Indian subcontinent, he learned local languages, studied traditions, and examined scientific ideas with respect rather than superiority. He compared methods, checked results, and documented differences honestly. Where others judged foreign knowledge as inferior, he tested it instead. This approach protected science from bias and preserved ideas that might otherwise have been lost. Truth, in his view, did not need loyalty. It needed accuracy. In this way, he became a bridge between civilizations, connecting worlds that politics kept apart. Through him, science became global long before globalization existed. Al-Biruni lived during an age of conquest, yet his focus remained untouched by ambition. Empires around him expanded through war and power, but he expanded understanding instead. Rulers valued territory and obedience, he valued precision and method. His discoveries did not bring him armies or monuments, only insight. Because of this, his work often existed quietly, overshadowed by political noise. Yet accuracy has a longer life than power. While kingdoms collapsed and borders shifted, his calculations remained valid. Empires disappeared, but his numbers endured. Time favored truth over authority, and knowledge outlived conquest. Many principles that later defined modern science already existed in Al-Biruni's work. Observation mattered more than assumption, measurement more than belief, and mathematics served as the language of nature. These ideas would take centuries to become standard practice elsewhere. When later scientists measured the Earth using advanced instruments, their results confirmed what he had already calculated with geometry and patience. His methods were not lucky guesses, but structured, repeatable systems. Progress eventually caught up with him, and modern science rediscovered what he already knew. His work waited quietly for recognition, preserved by its own accuracy. Despite his brilliance, Al-Biruni never became a central figure in popular history. He did not found an empire or lead a revolution. His victories were intellectual rather than political. History often remembers those who change borders more than those who change understanding. His work demanded reading, thinking, and reflection qualities rarely rewarded by power. As a result, his name faded from common narratives even as his ideas continued to influence scientific thought. Silence replaced celebration, accuracy replaced applause, and greatness passed unnoticed. Forgetting him reveals more about how history is written than about the value of his contributions. Al-Biruni's greatest legacy was not a single discovery, but a way of thinking. He proved that the world could be understood through careful observation and honest calculation, and that truth does not belong to authority, tradition, or belief. It belongs to evidence. Long before satellites, laboratories, or modern instruments, he measured the Earth with clarity and discipline. In doing so, he measured not only the planet, but human potential itself. His life reminds us that advanced thinking is not limited by era. Humanity did not suddenly become intelligent in modern times. It always had the capacity. What mattered was the courage to question, to measure, and to accept what reality revealed. Do you think Al-Biruni proved that true science depends more on method than technology? How many other brilliant minds were forgotten because history favored power over knowledge? Share your thoughts and insights in the comments below. Explore more stories where ancient intelligence shaped the modern world.